Our Universal Radio Studios. Celebrities from TV, music, movies, literature, politics, and show business. At one time or another, they all come to the Ron Sedgy Show. So why don't you?
I needed money 'cause I had none. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
You can try fighting the law all you want, but the law is always going to win. From politicians and celebrities to sports figures and business leaders, they're fighting the law. Now, here to sort out the nation's top legal news stories is America's favorite legal analyst, Royal Oakes. This is the Royal Oakes Show.
Robbing people with a 6-gun. I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Thank you, Mike Warren, and welcome to the Royal Oak Show. Welcome to our co-host Ken Jeffries. How you be, Ken?
What a news.
I think this is our biggest, most exciting news week. Our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. How are you?
Great, happy as always to be here.
We are zeroing in, folks, on our anniversary show. We're going to consult with our technical expert, executive producer, Matt, and it probably 2 weeks is our best guess, because I think you might be out next week.
I am out.
Okay, so Connor's got to be here for our anniversary show.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, tell the children, wake them up.
Wake the kids. Tell the kids. Yeah, it's like David Letterman
Maybe
used to
put
say.
the kids
It's
back
going to be
bed.
fantastic.
In 2 weeks?
I think 2 weeks will be the anniversary show. We've been doing this, folks, for about a year and a half, and so you won't believe the highlights we have put together. But speaking of highlights, what a week. Jeff Bezos, creepy middle-aged cheater or tabloid takedown whistleblower? You be the judge.
Nice.
Sex, lies, and racism, just another day in Virginia politics. We're going to get into the trouble there. Donald Trump's State of the Union miracle. He got Miss Mother Effer to stand and applaud. I mean, that is miraculous. Liam Neeson, I think, should take up golf because they give you mulligans in that sport. And talk about here. And Liz Warren's presidential campaign. Does her lie about being a Cherokee signal her campaign is going up in smoke? That's my question.
Interesting question.
We're going to get into that. And the killer foul ball at Dodger Stadium. Connor's a big fan. He's going to tell us whether the Nets should be even higher to save lives.
That was an interesting story.
Oh, my gosh, the poor lady, 79-year-old fan.
And the delay on the story of how long it was since, I mean, it was happening all
Well, we can get into it later, but it was delayed for a bunch of reasons. And
we're also going to talk about how A-State, you can guess, A-State's about to ban cigarettes. I mean, period. They're going to raise the age limit to 100. 100. You have to be 100 in this particular state to buy cigarettes a few years down the road. So we'll get into that. And finally,
looking forward to it.
Sexually transmitted disease rates, state by state. Are you in the top 10, either high or low? We're going to reveal that.
Yeah, what's the top 10?
Well.
The bottom or the top of it?
It's pretty amazing. So let's kick it off, guys, with Jeff Bezos. And I was corrected. I was working with ABC Radio on this story, and I filed some sound bites that I thought were just brilliant, and they call me back and they say, Royal, it's not Bezos, it's Bezos. You're going to have to do them over. So I did them over as a crack newsman.
So Bezos with a long A.
You knew it was Bezos, I'm sure. So,
but did you pronounce Pecker correctly? That's what I want.
We're going to get into that.
Okay.
So here's the background, and to me it's interesting that the whole saga relates to billionaires cheating on their wives.
Right.
Trump and Bezos. That's the origin here. Because remember, Trump had an affair, and he worked with the National Enquirer to pay the lady, but they would catch and kill the story. So that's the basis for, he knows David Pecker, he works with the National Enquirer. So prosecutors are looking into whether or not Trump broke the law by not reporting his money paid to Stormy and the Playmate as campaign contributions. Bezos comes along and he buys the Washington Post. He and the paper are seen as enemies of Trump. He has an affair with Linda Sanchez.
Lauren Sanchez, who is familiar to people. She was a Los Angeles TV anchor, but she's not known really to the rest of the country, except now in the Bezos.
Oh, now they know.
Now they know.
So Jeff Bezos has this affair with her, and the Enquirer a month ago published a story on the affair. Bezos hires a private investigator to find out how the hell the National Enquirer got the story, got some of the pictures, the texts, and so on. Apparently, Lauren Sanchez's brother is a big Trumpster, and Bezos has a feud with Trumpster. So the explosion 2 or 3 days ago was Bezos reveals that the National Enquirer has said to him, look, we're going to publish the racy texts and pictures unless you do two things. One, stop with the private investigation. And secondly, stop suggesting that in reporting on your affair, we did that because of politics, because we side with Donald Trump in the feud between Trump and the Washington Post. And he says it's blackmail. So you guys have followed this story pretty well. You're on the jury. Jeff Bezos has filed a criminal complaint for extortion and blackmail. How do you vote?
So the definition of extortion would be getting something illegally, right? By threat.
By a threat, exactly right.
That makes it illegal. By a threat of anything, it could be threat of force. You could hurt, I'm going to do this or I'll kill you. Or it could be I'll do this and I'll publish damaging documents. So there's nothing wrong with that element of it.
And blackmail is a close cousin because it's essentially demanding something. And if you don't give it to me, I will reveal compromising information.
It's sort of a squares and rectangles thing. Blackmail would be part of the broader category. So is this extortion? Yeah, there's no real argument that this wouldn't be extortion. The only
Of course, you're banned from Amazon.com now.
No, I'm on board with Amazon. I'm on Bezos'
Oh, that's right. That's
side,
right. You're going to get a discount.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it backwards.
So many jokes and so little time.
You're free prime. Free prime. That's right.
For life. Yeah, because this is the National Enquirer's only argument is, look, the Washington Post is the one that's acting dirty and sleazy, and we're just fighting back, right? We're just defending ourselves and saying, stop with the sleazy backroom politicking. But that doesn't make any sense because the Washington Post is a major, national and international newspaper that is engaged in journalistic activities, and National Enquirer would have to point to something specific to say that they are the ones who are in the wrong before they could get themselves off the hook for what is clearly threatening to release damaging personal information in exchange for something. And even if you say that something is weird or nebulous or not that valuable, it has some value,
and it doesn't have to be money.
No.
Ken, I'm sure you reported on the David Letterman deal years ago, and that, I think, was classic blackmail extortion.
But Letterman handled it. He got out in front of it. He admitted it on the air, which was shocking, but it was great the way it turned out.
He weaved it into his monologue. He was just telling another Dave's story.
And he said
that's what they say.
That's kind of what Bezos did.
Yeah, it's exactly what Bezos did. The only way to get out ahead of blackmail is to just release the information.
So here's the question:
making a deal with somebody you can't trust to hold their side of the bargain because it's an illegal deal. You can't go to the courts and say, "Hey, I paid him $1 million to kill this and these pictures," and then they didn't, and now they want another $1 million. Guess what? You're going to be paying forever.
Can Bezos, and he might have the money, simply buy the National Enquirer and was it AMR, right?
AMI.
It's AMI.
I think that would be a bad
in order to shut it down.
It would be a bad investment.
Yeah, I think that would kind of look bad. That would maybe look desperate on his part.
But he could do it.
He can buy anything.
He could take a dump.
He's the richest man.
Use the dump to buy AMI.
He's the richest man on the planet, and of course that's one of the excuses National Enquirer has. Is they're saying this is a big story. It's not just tawdry tabloid stuff. The world's richest man behaves inappropriately. That's news. We're free to publish it or not. We can make that choice, and if we want to wheel and deal about whether we publish it, that's up to us. An interesting twist is, Mr. Pecker has an immunity deal from the feds on the campaign contribution deal.
And they're looking at that now to see if he
violated. If he broke the law by blackmailing or extorting somebody, then the immunity deal
is off the table. Is extremely straightforward. It says you break the law at all.
Is it blackmail? Is it legal?
Yeah, I don't know that it is because courts actually are so protective of the First Amendment, which is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good policy.
That they sometimes say that stuff that looks like blackmail actually is protected free speech. The National Enquirer can actually make themselves analogous to the New York Times, and they can say we want to report stuff, and it is being said by Bezos that we acted illegally getting the racy texts. They're going to say we didn't do that. Analogy, the New York Times got the Pentagon Papers. Now, the Pentagon Papers were stolen from a federal facility. That was a felony. Exactly. By Daniel
psychiatrist or whatever that thing was. Right?
Yeah. And so he gave it to the New York Times. And the court ended up saying, you know, if the New York Times didn't conspire to illegally steal the stuff, then they may publish it. Well, the Enquirer is going to compare themselves to them.
Can the Enquirer say that we are a bona fide news organization?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They can.
Without the judge laughing his head off.
You're confusing them with Weekly World News, where you have the alien with his arm around George Bush.
It's just as bad. They're the origin of Bat Boy. The National Enquirer is just as bad.
Can they argue First Amendment?
Yeah, they can. Now, what they're doing by analogizing themselves to the New York Times in that scenario is actually a straw man. What they're saying is, since we didn't act illegally in obtaining this information, then whatever we did with the information isn't illegal. But that's actually misdirection, because no one's saying really, now Jeff Bezos did maybe open himself up to this counter-argument by saying that they acted shadily or illegally by getting the stuff, but it's irrelevant. All that matters is whether what they did with this stuff was illegal or illegal. If you find my nude selfie on the street and then you extort me with it, it doesn't matter that you found it legally on the street. You did something illegal with it. So that's going to be the argument against them. And all this misdirection about, well, we obtained the thing legally, it's nonsense.
So what happens with this whole thing?
Well, I think that the prosecutors will look at whether or not the immunity deal is threatened. Separate prosecutors will look at whether there's a blackmail case. And third, you're going to have giant lawsuits between Bezos and the National Enquirer. But maybe a few months down the road, somebody will issue an apology and they'll write a check and it may go away. But
or we'll see Pecker in chains.
That's possible. Hey, let's move
Sounds
to...
like an old movie, by the way. No, never mind.
Let's move to the Virginia politics. The Republicans are thinking, my goodness, there's a Democrat governor, lieutenant governor, and attorney general. Fourth in line is a Republican. He may get to be the governor because, okay, you've got Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. One woman now is saying he raped her. Another woman is saying that he forced her into oral sex.
Basically rape, yeah.
Right. Her explanation for delaying the reporting is suppressed memory. She wanted to focus on her academic career and so on, so people are going to make the same arguments that they did about other accusers. The Attorney General, Mark Herring, he admits he dressed in blackface in college, dressed like a rapper, Curtis Blow, whoever that is. And then we've got Governor Ralph Northam refusing to quit. He denies he's in the picture, even though originally he said he was in the picture with the KKK guy and the blackface person. Yeah. But now he says, well, the reason, I thought maybe I was in the picture is I did dress up like Michael Jackson for a dance contest. And you know how we talk about a moron of the week? I have a nomination for Genius of the Week. Yeah. Governor Ralph Northam's wife, who, when she saw in the press conference, he was about to demonstrate moonwalking
it was so close.
To prove that it was all an innocent Michael Jackson thing. She said, honey, I don't think we should be moonwalking.
Inappropriate circumstances.
By the way, Bill Maher brought it up last night. He gave the wife props also for saying, hey,
good catch.
Not a good thing.
Can you imagine what the optics would have been if this guy had started to moonwalk across the stage?
He was looking for, as Maher said, he was looking for a place to bust a move.
He's looking around like, oh, is there room here?
And apparently, he added, the voters may tell him to beat it, which is
the reporter who asked the question. You could hear the change in the tone of his voice. He starts to ask what seems to be almost a legitimate question, and then he gets to, wait, you said you were portraying Michael Jackson in a dance contest?
Right.
He confirms it. Can you?
He said a little shoe polish.
It was so obvious. It was just dawning on him. I could be the greatest question asker in press conference history. This could be my moment.
Now, guys, in terms of the hypocrisy issue, I hesitate to raise this. I don't like to appear partisan, but, a lot of Democrats, when the allegations against Kavanaugh came forward, said, believe survivors. Presumption of innocence is a technical legal thing. This is too important. We believe these allegations. I don't hear a whole lot of Democrats right now saying we believe.
The chorus of Democrats shouting, "Get out, Northam and Fairfax."
There was a lot of them that said, "Get out."
Get out.
I missed the chorus.
There's a third guy who's a Republican.
There is nobody out there basically saying that they should stay in office. Basically, every Democrat has said, yeah, we got to do the right thing.
Actually, I see a lot of Democrats saying, let's have a thorough investigation. We've got to get to the bottom of this. And so
you can have a thorough investigation once he's out of office.
Yeah,
that's my.
They're not out, and I don't really see a whole lot of people lining up saying. I just think that there is a bit of a double standard. It's going to be fascinating to see with all three of these powerful figures in Virginia.
A lot of this happened though after the abortion debate in Virginia, and that it could be linked.
That's true. That's true.
And that's a whole nother show.
When we come back, our first candidate for Moron of the Weekend is, should Liam Neeson take up golf and get those mulligans?
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show. Hi, everybody. Michael Horn from CRNTalk.com. You know, we provide you with the best in talk radio. 8 channels of talk radio, from radio on the left, radio on the right, sports talk, business talk, religious talk, Spanish talk, you name it, we've got talk radio for you. All at CRNTalk.com. Well, now we'll bring you video as well as audio. That's right. Watch your favorite shows like The Robert Conrad Show, The Fred Dreyer Program, What's Cooking Today, What's Cooking on Wine, The Lounge, and so many other shows in video right at our website, CRNTalk.com. You can also watch us on Roku. Just search CRN Talk, and you can watch us on Roku on any TV anywhere in the world. Also on Facebook Live. Go to Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Roku, search CRN Talk. Check us out on Tiki Live and at CRNTalk.com. Video for you talk fans, all from CRN Talk.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. They want your money, and guess what? They can legally take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you. So what do? Fight back by letting our team of experts at the Tax Helpline work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws and will fight to save your money. So if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597.
When you really want Italian food, you have got to get to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. It's that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. We're into the new year, new challenges, new people and places. But isn't it good to know that some things remain the same? And that's Columbo's. Columbo's is something you can always count on. Great steaks, the finest fish, Columbo's family Italian specialties, jazz every night, and the world's greatest meatballs, and service that makes you feel at home. What's surprising is that Columbo's has been doing it right since 1954 and still going strong. And Valentine's Day is right around the corner. It's time to make your reservation. 323-254-9138. 323-254-9138. Columbo's. You know, that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's. Manja.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries, our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So, our Moron of the Week feature, we always have 2 candidates, 2 really stupid people. At the end of the show, we vote on who's most moronic of all. And not to be biased, guys, but I have to tell you, I think I have here the king of the morons.
Okay.
This is the king. Maybe there'll be a queen at the end of the show.
Thank you very much. Well, that's the king. That's all
a royal couple. Okay. We should someday devote an entire show to Ken's impressions, don't you think? Because between Elvis and Paul Lynde, I think you know,
but
you
in
could
2
just
weeks
nail
you
it.
can do that as part of
Why
the
not?
highlights.
It's true.
The low lights.
Yeah.
When we do that show.
So here's my candidate for Moron of the Week here. His name is Matthew Amers of Willingboro, New Jersey. He's been arraigned on...
Formerly Levittown. It used to be Levittown, New Jersey.
Really?
My old stomping... Long Island. I grew up on Long Island. And
Long Island?
But Levittown, New Jersey later became Willingboro, New Jersey.
Did you also used to be named Matthew Amers?
I hope not. Because this guy is up on charges of indecent exposure.
Ooh,
and that's not Ken. Okay, that's not how Ken rolls.
I wasn't brought up on indecent exposure.
False imprisonment of a minor, indecent assault.
Oh,
and here's the deal. He forced himself on a teenage waitress, groping the girl and exposing himself to her in a bathroom stall at a wedding reception. So now you may be saying to yourself, Royal...
Why is he moron of the...
Well, you may say,
just
Royal, you know, this is terrible, but these kinds of crimes happen all the time. How is it that he is king of all the morons of all time?
Right,
you know, he did these terrible things. I believe I mentioned it was a wedding reception. It was his. wedding.
Oh, I read about this yesterday, actually. Yeah.
Well, there you go. Then you're up on the news.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think Matthew deserves a nomination for Moron of the Week because
his honeymoon must have been
lovely. It would be terrible to do this, annoy a waitress no matter what the circumstances. His own damned wedding reception.
Yeah, and the waitress was underage. And
you can't.
That's right. It's even worse.
The teenage was statutory.
She was 17.
Rape.
That's right.
Well, I don't know
what's
if it was rape,
what's
but
she doing working in a wedding if she's 17?
You really can't make this up. That is the worst possible
Pretty awful.
reaction.
Pretty awful.
I mean, I get it. You panicked, right? Everybody panics. It's their wedding day.
Yep.
Most people hyperventilate. They get too drunk. They don't sexually
now that I
assault
think about
an
it,
underage
if
girl.
she's underage, what about that?
Yeah.
What about that? Is he's going
Bottom
to
line
jail?
is the technical legal phrase is he's in a heap of trouble.
Heap of trouble.
So before we get to Liam Neeson's interesting week, let's call an audible here and let's talk about Matthew Whitaker, the interim attorney general.
Sure,
because
yeah.
I know you mentioned, Ken, that you were kind of taken with the cross-examination of Whitaker the last day or two by, I guess, Ted Lieu, the congressman.
Well, it was two things. First of all, Whitaker talked to Jerry Nadler, was the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Now the Democrats have taken over the House.
Big fan of Trump. Big fan.
Huge fan.
So, not. So Nadler was talking to him about a whole bunch of things, and rather than answer him, Whitaker said, "I believe your 5 minutes are up, Mr. Chairman." And everybody went, "Whoa!"
Maybe suggest he was uncomfortable with the line of questioning.
Yeah, uncomfortable.
But then, then there was a thing later. Ted Lieu, who's a congressman not far from where we do the show, pulled out a pocket constitution,
which all senators are legally required to carry.
I think that's not. Yeah, right. At least I think he said it was a constitution.
I think they should be legally required to know the contents.
I think they all
maybe congresswomen from Brooklyn should be required to know the contents too. I'm just saying.
I think they're all just
actually. I think
carrying,
she's Queens. Is she Queens? Well, it doesn't matter.
The Bronx,
New York.
I think they're all just carrying around these pocket constitutions in their breast pocket just in case they get shot and it stops the bullet.
Ooh, good idea.
Best story ever.
Okay.
Thank goodness the founding fathers were wordy.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ted Lieu says, show me the part in the Constitution where it says the president can't be indicted.
Yeah, so
and
this
that started.
So here's
the deal, Ken. Nice stunt by Ted.
Yeah.
Just like it was a nice stunt by Mr. Khan at the Democrat convention to pull out his pocket copy of the Constitution from the podium and say, Mr. Trump, have you even read this? Have you made any sacrifice at all? Why don't you go to Arlington National Cemetery? Now, you got to cut him some slack because his son was killed.
Right.
But it was kind of a stunt to pull out the pocket Constitution.
Yeah, it's a stunt.
But here's the answer.
But he was trying to get an answer out of him.
He got his point across, but I don't know how clever Whitaker is about responding to questions when he's saying, isn't your time up yet?
Yeah.
But the answer to his comment is there are a lot of things that aren't explicitly referenced in the Constitution, and you don't necessarily have an answer yes or no as to a constitutional question just because a word is missing. Now, the Justice Department has issued a few opinions in the last few decades that essentially say it isn't explicitly addressed in the Constitution as to whether a sitting president may be indicted, but we think he cannot be indicted. It provides for impeachment. He may be indicted after he leaves. It would be too disruptive to indict a sitting president while he's in the office.
But they kept on saying yes or no, right?
Yeah, and
yes or no.
That's the problem. There is no yes or no.
Frankly, silly for them to attack him. At the same time, because he is the acting AG, he is one of these figures who is actually capable of, or should be capable of, in making those sorts of judgments and interpretations and saying, this is the position of justice on whether the president can be indicted. And you should be able to answer and say, yes, the Constitution doesn't say the word privacy, but there's a right of privacy. The Constitution doesn't say the president can be indicted, but he can be indicted or not, one way or another. And that's a sort of distinction that the acting AG should be capable of making.
No, you're right there.
Or willing.
When we come back, we are going to get to Liam Neeson. And the issue is, I believe it was the philosopher Immanuel Kant who said, always tell the truth. Always. So should we be dumping on Neeson for telling the truth, even though it was ugly? Stick with us.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Picture yourself and your loved one saying, I do, with a stunning sunset behind you and the sound of the waves gently lapping the shore. We can make that dream wedding come true. Ka'anapali Beach Hotel offers oceanfront and ocean view venues for a perfect backdrop to all your wedding memories. Choose from our wedding and vow renewal packages or let us customize a ceremony just for you. Call 661-0011 or visit ka'anapaliweddings.com and let us help you create that once-in-a-lifetime occasion.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Dreyer telling you about my favorite Italian restaurant. It's Angelo's and Vinci's in Fullerton, California. Angelo's and Vinci's has the best pasta, the best seafood, the best salad, spaghetti, lasagna, and the most incredible pizza. And the chicken is delicious. Marsala, piccata, cacciatore, parmigiana, and more. For desserts, try our spumoni or our tiramisu, my favorite, flown in fresh from Italy. And the cannolis and the zeppolis are out of this world. Open for lunch and dinner, and don't miss the Sunday champagne brunch. Just $21.95. Are you kidding? It's all up the road from Disneyland at 550 North Harbor Boulevard in Fullerton, California. Angelo's and Vinci's, like Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci. Call 714-879-4022 or visit us online at angeloandvincis.com.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. They want your money, and guess what? They can legally take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you. So what do? Fight back by letting our team of experts at the Tax Helpline work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws and will fight to save your money. So if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. 800-378-3212. That's 800-378-3212.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Call right now and receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-785-9618. Donate your car today. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries, our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. Hey, Ken, want to give a shout-out to some of our
we got some shout-outs to
listeners.
people who are watching here. First of all, my brother-in-law, Dave Finkelstein.
Yay, Dave.
There you go, Dave. Rick Reese, who we know from KFWB. We used to work with him at KFWB. Wow. He was a behind-the-scenes guy and a real good one. Hey, Reese, how are you? He likes to be called by his last name. I remember that. Someone named Valerie Augustine.
And the other unnamed millions who are, of course, all watching us.
And then it says Connor Oakes is watching.
Nice! So I'm watching.
Finkelstein. I know he's your cousin, but all the people I know with that name, they pronounce it Finkelstein. Are you sure that he... Oh, well, he's your cousin.
Yes,
he would know.
He's my brother-in-law, yeah.
He would know.
Okay.
Close enough.
So, guys, before we get to the much-promised Liam Neeson story, it's time for Guess the Verdict, because you guys are so good at guessing pretty wild case outcomes. So we've got 3 cases this week. Number 1, an Oregon woman is injured in an auto accident. It seems a horse wandered onto a highway and was hit by a car, tragically. The collision caused the horse to fly through the air. The horse landed on the woman who's driving a Ford. She sues Ford, arguing that Ford failed to support the weight of a flying horse. So, who should win this lawsuit? Ken Jeffries, do you have a guess? Should Ford, Ram truck? No, that's Dodge. Should Ford win, or should the lady who was crushed by the flying horse as a result of the weak roof of the Ford Pinto.
Well, it was a Pinto.
I'm guessing it's a Pinto. I'm guessing it's a Pinto. Yeah.
Probably a Pinto.
Well, it would be the flying horse. Man, the flying horse ought to sue.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Ed died in the incident.
Well, it could be mobile. That reminds me of the mobile gas logo of Pegasus.
That's right.
With it is a flying horse. Yeah. Old logo.
So who wins?
So it's
Ford or the lady?
Oh, Ford wins.
Okay, what do you think, John?
I think the lady wins because I think she's going to make a good argument that, yeah, I was crushed by a flying horse in this scenario, but the roof has got to be strong enough to take the car flipping and rolling like 20 times. That's got to be more impactful than a flying horse. So obviously the fact that it was crushed by a horse proves that it couldn't handle what it really needed to handle.
That's how the jury saw it. They gave it $280,000. $280,000.
You know what? I could have said, yeah, when pigs fly, when horses fly.
Case number 2, Richland County,
good for you.
Ohio prison inmates sue General Foods for failing to put warning labels on coffee. The complaint states, I've been using Maxwell House instant coffee for long periods of time.
Is the complaint written by Ted Kennedy?
Oh, it's just a random accent.
Oh, okay.
You sound a little Bostonian.
Upon trying to discontinue said product, I've suffered painful withdrawal symptoms.
Ooh.
So the inmate is seeking $20,000 in damages against Maxwell House. So, Connor, you get to go first this time. Does Maxwell House win this Titanic lawsuit, or the inmate who's just too jangly and nervous?
So I think that the inmate loses because it is a commonly known and understood thing in our society that caffeine can cause withdrawals, and therefore you don't have to put a weight warning label on it because any reasonable person would know.
Caffeine makes you nervous?
If you drink too much coffee,
I'll drink to that.
You'll be jittery.
So what do you think, Ken? Who wins?
Yeah, the inmate loses. Agree with him.
You're right. The inmate assumed the risk. Exactly right. Third and final story.
Grounds for something.
God.
Graduating senior Philip Colello of Westerfield High School in Connecticut sues after a photograph of a monkey is substituted for his face in the high school yearbook. The other children taunted him, calling him Monkey Boy.
Well,
Philip was so embarrassed he had to skip his own graduation. So he sues for emotional distress against the high school and the children responsible. Who wins, Philip or the school and the kids who committed the prank?
I think this kid wins for emotional distress. The idea that you accidentally submitted in a monkey picture and nobody caught that
I don't
before
think anybody claimed
press.
it was an accident.
You know, the governor of Virginia just said, "Hey, what about me?" You know, with the blackface.
This is no good. This is no. These yearbooks are run rampant. Thank you for choosing a topical yearbook-related crime, or rather lawsuit. So this yearbook and the school that goes with it, they're going down.
Oh yeah. What about you, Ken? How do you?
Yeah, I agree with him.
Sorry, guys. The suit was dismissed.
What?
The kids apologized, and so they just dismissed.
Oh, my gosh.
But it's still in the yearbook, right? Or whatever that thing
Yes, the yearbooks don't die. They live.
Yeah. Ask, what do you call it? Ask the governor of Vermont and Virginia. And
So Liam Neeson, I loved Taken 1. Taken 2 was good. Taken 3 was a little strange. I think that when they came to Liam Neeson and said, we want you to do Taken 3, he said yes with one condition. Nobody gets taken. And they said yeah, because it would be a little bit of a stretch. I mean, who's that unlucky, right?
Right.
So Liam Neeson, 40 years ago, apparently knows a woman. She's raped by a black man. He's so angry. He has a club that he carries around with him, and he walks the streets of Dublin or wherever he was, hoping a black man at random, because she didn't know the identity, will bother him, kind of like Charles Bronson in Vigilante. You know, he's riding the subway with a gun, hoping to have some punk go after him so he can kill him. And sure enough, he does for the whole 2-hour movie. And so, fortunately, nobody approached him. He didn't attack or kill anybody. He confesses this out of the blue during a promotional tour.
Yeah.
He's promoting a new movie that started yesterday.
That was related in some way to Revenge.
Yeah, he runs around and he kills like 20 people in this movie. What a shock.
Yeah.
I really love his performances because he strikes me as somebody who not only does action movies but also is a really good actor.
Right. I mean, the guy was in Schindler's List, and then he was like, hey, I'm 60 years old, and I want to be an action star now, and let's put me in Taken. And
what do you think? Should everybody forgive him because he's saying, I'm not a racist, I just have to unburden myself of this story?
That's the problem. problem. The I'm not a racist is the problem. The guy goes out there and in public, basically apropos of nothing, confesses and says, I was consumed by a revenge fantasy, rage, and hatred.
Why would he even go there? I don't understand how that even came in.
I think it's tied into the plot of the movie, I think. The movie involves a revenge killing.
Think about it. If you're the kind of guy or if you're the guy who had this experience happen to him in person, this thing has probably been eating him for years. He's making movies about revenge fantasies. Taken is a revenge fantasy. This is a revenge fantasy. Well, this is literally him living out. The fact that he didn't tell the story before is surprising.
But should you be punished for something you did or thought years ago? And here,
the answer to this
gets into the old blackface thing too. And Kavanaugh and gets into all this
people
kind of
change.
Stuff.
But this is different because he came out and said it. He came out and said it, and he said, "This is terrible. I don't know why I'm telling this to you now in front of a camera, but I'm going to tell you this story." He tells them the story, and the guy sitting next to him, other actor in the movies, goes, "Holy!" and says an expletive. And just like wants to get out of the situation when he hears the story because it's insane. But when you think about it, as Trevor Noah said in a very good monologue that he gave about the topic, actually off the air between the scenes, they call it, when he talks to the audience, he said, "I want to live in a world where people will confess that they were overcome by feelings of hatred, that they felt racist feelings and had racist thoughts in the past and even did racist things because the society that we live in led them to that, and because it's human nature to succumb to the darkest instincts within us in times of trauma, and this is terrible, blah, blah, blah." And we shouldn't punish somebody for admitting that sort of thing and trying to say, "I'm glad nothing bad actually happened from it, and we all got away from it, and I think I grew and changed and became a better person." But Liam, you can't say, "But I'm not a racist." You did and said racist things.
Well, can't he say he was a racist then, but he's not now?
Yes, but he didn't say that. He said, "I've never been a racist. I'm a good person, blah, blah, blah." You got to admit that you
you
did
were
racist
a
things.
racist.
You had racist
that
thoughts.
was a racist
It doesn't
thing.
make you a bad person forever,
Yeah,
but
that's
he's
a
on
good
the back
point.
foot
Trevor
because of the
Noah
backlash.
is, every time I see Trevor Noah, it's like there's a flood of clever things that come out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah.
He's
so
say a
quick.
flood out of Noah's mouth.
Oh!
So, should they digitally edit Liam Neeson out of Men in Black? People are talking about that. They're saying, okay, we hate him. He's a racist.
What?
Yeah, he apparently, I didn't even remember he was in Men in Black. Somebody said he was. Whatever movie he was in years ago, people are saying, let's digitally remove Liam.
Insane.
Why? If he's a racist, Connor, why not get rid of the guy? Put a cartoon character in there.
You're going to digitally remove Michael Jackson
Daffy
from
Duck
bad.
in there, or the Roadrunner in instead of Liam Neeson. Put a three-piece suit on the Roadrunner.
Yeah.
You don't think so? You think that would be an overreaction?
I think that might be an overreaction.
All right, maybe so.
This time.
Let's talk State of the Union, guys. I didn't want to watch the whole thing, but it was kind of like a train wreck.
Yeah,
that was so cute. The little kid falling
that was
asleep.
brought there by, I guess, Melania. The kid whose last name happens to be Trump, and he said he was being bullied. He ended up sleeping through part of it.
He's gotten over being bullied, so that's the good news.
Yeah, well, that was...
I think that Trump deserves props because anybody that can get the lady that called him a mother blanker to stand and applaud for him. Now, admittedly, she was applauding herself because he said, "Hey, isn't it swell that we gave the vote to women 100 years ago, and so many women are in Congress now,
and then he
and
said,
all the women got up and applauded themselves."
And he points to the Democratic women. It was easy to see they're all wearing white and suffragette.
Right.
So, and he says, "And you'll really like this now."
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they all, and he knew that would force them all to stand up.
Yeah, and you're right.
Force them all.
What they were really doing is they were actually sort of laughing at him and not with him, because what he'd said was, and now we have all these Democratic women in Congress, and they started clapping as though to say, "Yeah, you idiot, you don't get to take credit for that. We're here because of you,
in spite of you,
because
maybe,
we are. There's such a backlash, a blue wave against you." So yeah, I mean, this was definitely.
And then there was a Nancy Pelosi death stare, the clap back, as they call it.
Definitely.
And it's hard to. I'd like to reenact that now on television, but it's hard to do it. She kind of stared at him like this.
She later said that clap wasn't
eye.
sarcastic. That was just a clap. That's just how I clap.
You know what was stunning to me about the speech was the reaction. Both CBS and CNN polls, neither CBS nor CNN are big fans of Donald Trump, said 76% and 72% respectively of viewers approved of President Trump's State of the Union speech. And a lot of reviewers in the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times gave him really good marks for just deviating from sort of the antagonistic, angry tweet approach I mean, I think it's the kickoff for his reelection campaign, and those, to me, those numbers are stunning, 72 and 76%. Because when you think of how many independents had to be favorable to Trump, yeah, of course he's got his 1/3 base, and 1/3 is always going to hate him. But to draw that many positive votes of the viewers, I think it was a very positive sign for his effort to sort of turn himself into a human being during his reelection run.
And today was the day that Donald Trump finally became
president. Yeah,
no, the guy stood up there and didn't sound like an idiot man-child. Okay, he did, actually. But he didn't sound like as much of an idiot man-child as he has in the past. And everybody's like, wow, you did it, bud.
And what about did he break protocol? Well, I didn't realize this till later. Some of the analysts said he broke protocol. Pelosi was supposed to introduce him as well as the sergeant at arms.
Oh, yeah?
You know, that he just started giving the speech and didn't cut her off. But he prevented her from reintroducing him, which would give everyone in the chamber a chance to set up. You know,
honestly, I would just chalk that one up to him not knowing the heck is going on more than him purposely doing anything adverse to Pelosi.
It didn't look like he cut her off. I don't know.
Really, you could put up literally any boring dude or woman and have them give a boring speech, and everybody would generally be like, I guess I generally approve of what happened. So to me, that poll number doesn't mean anything. It's not like he inspired somebody who's like, okay, I'm going to go out and vote for him when I wasn't otherwise really. Like, the fear part of his speech might actually motivate. I think that was a well-calculated, part of his normal plan, which is my platform is fear. People are entering our country in a caravan, a flood,
there was another thing,
they can murder you, blah, blah, blah.
He also had a guy, there's at least one fellow there who liberated, I think, one of the concentration camps.
Absolutely.
Right? I think he had a Holocaust survivor there, too. I'm not certain. I don't remember anymore. But how well does that go over with his so-called, with his base? Some would argue that
he not only did those two things,
who could be argued might be Nazi sympathizers.
He talked about moving the capital of Israel
to Jerusalem. Yeah, to Jerusalem,
absolutely.
And of course, the next thing they zeroed in on Kushner, because Kushner had a big part in that.
Yeah,
right.
And you could tell. Then he talked about socialism. We will not have socialism, and we'll never be a socialist country. And the cameras cut to Bernie Sanders right away. Going,
grumpy Bernie. Yeah.
So, guys, let's talk abortion. It's been in the news because the governor of Virginia has been talking about late-term abortion, and he was talking about how sometimes, under some circumstances, the baby will actually be born, and then the parents will.
Can I interrupt you? I'm sorry, but to do this, it's very interesting to me that all of the stuff about blackface came in about a day or two after this abortion stuff started to bubble up.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's a relationship where people just dug into, the
was it a right-wing website that dug this stuff up? I don't know either. And
I think what happened, it was a right-wing website that had previously talked about.
I'm not saying that's good or bad or indifferent, but to me it's interesting.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then the related story is the United States Supreme Court weighed in on abortion. They don't issue too many abortion decisions, but they did issue a sort of a preliminary ruling, and the interesting part is the Chief Justice sided with the 4 liberals. What happened is that Louisiana has a law that tries to restrict abortion, and it says, well, you can have abortion. We understand what Roe versus Wade says, but we've got rules here, and we want to make sure the facilities
you got to be 100 years old to have an abortion.
You've got to have facilities that are proper, and people have credentials at hospitals and so on, and it's one of many ways that states try to sort of chip away at Roe versus Wade, and that's what the Louisiana statute says. Now it goes up before the U.S. Supreme Court. Before the court decides on the merits whether this restriction on abortion in Louisiana is constitutional under Roe versus Wade, they had to decide whether to allow the law to go into effect pending the briefing and the resolution of the Supreme Court decision. And by a 5-4 vote, the court said, we don't want this law to go into effect. We'll get back to you on the merits and tell you whether it's really constitutional or not. And Chief Justice Roberts sides with the 4 liberals on the court, which is kind of big news.
Yeah.
Because you've got the 4 very conservatives on the court. They always vote the conservative way. You've got the 4 liberals on the court, always vote the liberal way. And instead of Sandra Day O'Connor and then Anthony Kennedy being the swing vote, I think Chief Justice Roberts is thinking, I'm into my legacy here. I didn't mean to suggest he was crazy.
No,
just
the way he's thinking, yeah. Absolutely.
I'm into my legacy here. I don't want to send any kind of signal that we're considering getting rid of Roe versus Wade. So the first question is he going David Souter on Republicans? Do you think that this is the first sign that this guy's going to turn into Earl Warren?
Mueller has something on Roberts, and he's flipping him. Just like all of those witnesses.
I was suspecting that, too.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny? We were both thinking about that.
Sure, right.
No, I mean, so that's one question as to whether he is really moving, because you know he is so focused on his legacy.
Yeah.
And then the other question is, how are they going to come out on this issue of abortion when they look at it on the merits? And because he is siding with the liberals, that's raising the question in a lot of people's minds, what if there is another vacancy that Trump has the opportunity to fill? I mean, we know RBG is not exactly in great health.
Not a spring chicken, no.
Yeah, and so if Trump is able to have one more appointment, then you're talking about 5 solid conservatives.
Have you seen The Handmaid's Tale?
No, I haven't.
It's basically, that's the scenario we're talking about.
I didn't like her in Mad Men, so I'm not going to watch her now.
All right.
All right, when we come back, our second candidate for Moron of the Week on the Royal Oak Show.
We'll be back on CRN with the Royal Oak Show.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Located in the heart of Maui's premier resort, Kaanapali Beach Hotel is officially recognized as Hawaii's most Hawaiian hotel and the #1 best value in Hawaii. With a range of accommodations and affordable dining options, this is the ideal setting to turn Hawaiian dreams into lifelong memories. Live Hawaiian entertainment every evening, free year-round children's programs, weekly arts and crafts fairs, welcome breakfast, and departure kukui lei ceremonies add to the value. Swim in the whale-shaped pool, indulge in the fabulous spa and hotel salon. Enjoy Hawaiian hospitality at its best at the Kaanapali Beach Hotel. Call 800-262-8450 or go to kbhmaui.com. That's kbhmaui.com. Aloha.
Kaanapali Beach Hotel, Maui's Hawaiian Hotel.
Imagine this is your money and someone wants to take it from you. Who is it? The IRS. They want your money, and guess what? They can legally take it, all of it if they want. Remember, they sent you that letter that said, hey, you owe us a bunch of cash and we're going to take it from you. So what do? Fight back by letting our team of experts at the tax helpline work it out with the IRS so you can keep your money. And we're good at what we do. When you hire us, you get a team of guys on your side that know the IRS laws and will fight to save your money. So if you owe the IRS a ton of cash and you want to keep it, call right now and learn for free how we can help you put it back in your pocket.
800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. 800-932-1597. That's 800-932-1597.
Hi, everybody. Michael Horn from CRNTalk.com. You know, we provide you with the best in talk radio. 8 channels of talk radio, from radio on the left, radio on the right, sports talk, business talk, religious talk, Spanish talk, you name it, we've got talk radio for you. All at CRNTalk.com. Well, now we'll bring you video as well as audio. That's right. Watch your favorite shows like The Robert Conrad Show, The Fred Dreyer Program, What's Cooking Today, What's Cooking on Wine, The Lounge, and so many other shows in video right at our website, CRNTalk.com. You can also watch us on Roku. Just search CRN Talk, and you can watch us on Roku on any TV anywhere in the world. Also on Facebook Live. Go to Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Facebook.com/CRN Digital Talk. Roku, search CRN Talk. Check us out on Tiki Live and at CRNTalk.com. Video for you talk fans, all from CRN Talk.
Welcome back to the Royal Oak Show with our co-host Ken Jeffries and our millennial correspondent Connor Oakes. So we have our second candidate for Moron of the Week, and you'll recall, guys, at the top of the show, we have a very strong first candidate, a guy who was sexually abusing the underage waitress at a wedding reception, and it was his own wedding reception where he was doing this. So that's candidate number one. But here's number two. I think he's going to give him a run for his money.
All right.
His name is Mark Fitzgerald. He's 37 years old. They're in Massachusetts. He has a kind of a road rage thing. There's a little side swipe with a 65-year-old guy in the other car. They both stop to swap information. They start to argue, and so the 65-year-old guy gets in front of the car of the 37-year-old Mark Fitzgerald to stop him because, you know, I don't want you to go anyplace. So the 37-year-old Mark Fitzgerald steps on the gas, and the 65-year-old tumbles onto the onto the hood of the car, and for the next several miles, at 70 miles an hour, with the Mark Fitzgerald guy swerving back and forth, trying to sling the older guy off of the car. And finally, this is all recorded by cell phones because all the other folks driving down the interstate are thinking, whoa, Gertrude, whip out that iPhone. Let's get this.
It didn't happen in Los Angeles. It sounds like an LA thing.
So finally he stops. A passerby with a semi-automatic pistol with a permit approaches the driver like Jack Bauer. Get out of the car. Get out of the car.
Holy moly.
And so Mark Fitzgerald gets out of the car. So I think he's a candidate for more.
What about the guy on the hood? The guy on the
He's
hood.
fine. He was not injured, but 70 miles an hour, trying to be slung off of the car.
How does he hold on? What are you holding on to? The glass?
Just
so the guy,
the power of prayer, Connor.
So then finally, when the cops pulled up, presumably, eventually the cops pulled up.
I would exactly right. Plus all the cell phone video. So who's most moronic? The guy at his own wedding reception who sexually abuses the 17-year-old waitress, or Mr. Mark Fitzgerald, who tries to sling the 65-year-old guy who was probably, you know, guilty of road rage off of the car?
The tie?
It's a tough one, isn't it?
Didn't we have a tie last week?
Goodness.
I think so.
We'll have a tie again.
Okay, I'm going to have to say the guy who sexually assaults an underage girl.
Okay.
That's just a crime beyond, like, come on, what are you... Like, the guy who, he is maybe overcome with rage. Maybe he was afraid of the 65-year-old guy. I don't know. Maybe there's some explanation.
You're saying the first one,
no explanation.
You're saying the first one, though? The guy who sexually abused
the guy who attacks the woman is... No, he's
kid.
the
It was a
dumbass.
kid.
Yeah, I think it'll be unanimous. But hey, let's give Mark Fitzgerald an honorable mention, shall we? Okay.
Is there some sort of jail that's worse than jail that we can send that
I don't know. So let's talk about Liz Warren. She claimed she was an American Indian on her state bar registration card. Those are the words she used, American Indian. Yeah. You think it's blowing over for her, or is there permanent damage here? I mean, she's got to distinguish herself from a lot of other progressives, and I think she's peddling a lie.
Yeah, she declared today, and Amy Klobuchar is going to declare reportedly tomorrow.
Yeah. So I think Liz Warren is peddling a lie here, because what she's saying is, I did this because of the family lore, which you can believe. There might have been stories, but she's saying, I never did it to try to achieve any professional advantage. And that's crap. She was on the Harvard faculty, and they were trumpeting the fact that we have an American Indian on our Harvard faculty. Look how diverse we are. And she gained professional benefit and advantage from being a Cherokee person repeatedly for decades. And then she had the audacity to put in 3 recipes, American Indian recipes, in a publication, and it turns out she plagiarized them from the New York Times word for word, down to how many ounces of corn, of maize. Now, do you really think that she can survive all this scrutiny? I think Cory Booker is just going to ram this down her throat.
Yeah, no, I think this is permanent damage for sure. I think that this is something that will haunt her for her entire political career, whatever that looks like.
Yeah, she may be done.
And I think that she probably won't make it out of the primary as a result.
Well, I think maybe if she had a more pleasant attitude, perhaps, toward things, because remember, we talked a few weeks ago, Connor, about how she's not likable in the opinion of many people.
Not likable.
Likable, huh?
Interesting. Democratic woman described as not likable. What does that mean, really?
I think it means you lose, as in Exhibit A, Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Unfortunately, it does mean you lose.
Yeah. Hey, we ran out of time, but next week we will reveal the state that is about to ban cigarettes and the state with the highest rate of sexually transmitted diseases. So you know where to move from. Have a great week, folks.